Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we get to part 2 of our wide receiver rankings. We're going to do 16 through 30 today. If you want to check out 1 through 15, go check out yesterday's podcast. We go through the top 15, which we didn't differ much on any of the players, so there's really not that big of surprises. And today we have a little bit of difference, a little bit more on some of these players. I mean, I guess it gets that way when you have some people with some potential. There's some guys I really like in this next 15. So we'll get to those in just a second. Before we do that, make sure you go follow us on Twitter at the FF Prophet, or check us out on Instagram at Fantasy Football Prophet. The website's fantasyfootballprophet.com, and you can send us questions at fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com. We actually have a question that just came in from Brett. This is actually a dynasty question. So we haven't talked a lot of dynasty on this show, which funny thing it came in. We actually did a dynasty draft just the other night for our league, which Jeff is a 2-time champ. He can't win our main league. He can win the dynasty. He's built a pretty good team. We were just going over that a little bit. He's built a pretty strong contender there, partially off my advice. Kamara, Chubb. I should, right? I mean, so here's Brett. So not going to deny it?
I'm not going to go into that. No one cares about it.
So here we got Brett here. So this is his question. So first off, he says he thinks he has a top 3 roster in the league. In his opinion, he does. So he's looking to win now. The guy he's trading with has probably one of the worst rosters, so he's in rebuild mode. This is the offer he just got. So he was offered Damian Williams, Devontae Freeman, Carlos Hyde, and Trey Burton for Melvin Gordon. So he would be giving up Melvin Gordon. He'd get those guys. Okay, I'll give you his roster. So, I mean, his Lockett quarterback. Kamara and Melvin Gordon are the current running backs. Aaron Jones, his 3rd running back. I'm trying to think if he has more after that. Not much. No, that's about Ronald Jones, and Austin Eckler is his 4th and 5. So, and he also has Alfred Morris. So it doesn't have like maybe a lot of top-end depth after those top 3. Wide receivers, I guess, don't matter in this trade really, but it's Hilton, Edelman, Golladay, some solid players there. What are you thinking here? So I almost think like the Hyde Burton part of this trade, you just like ignore. That's just there's 4 for 1, but ignore those 2. They don't, and right now in Dynasty, what do they really do for you? Not much. This turns into a Damian Williams, Devontae Freeman for Melvin Gordon deal here. You know what? I don't do it. I keep Gordon. I know, I get it. The worry is, does he hold out? And you're screwed this year. I get that. And I guess you get Williams, Hyde. Maybe you think you got both. I still don't do it. Because Freeman, I'm not sold that he's 100% going to be back, and if he'll ever be back to what he was. I think Melvin Gordon is really good there. And you know what? If Melvin sits out and you get kind of screwed a little bit, I think at least you throw Aaron Jones in there and you can make it work. I don't, and you have Calvin, he has Calvin Ridley on the bench, so he can go a lot of receivers. I just can't do it. I don't think I want to trade basically Melvin Gordon for Damian Williams, Devontae Freeman. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I know. You like Damian Williams. I know.
I do, but I don't.
You like Melvin Gordon, though, if he's playing. I know you're a big Melvin Gordon fan. It's a tough one. I don't think. And Melvin Gordon and Damian Williams are pretty much the same age, aren't they? I mean, what are the ages here?
Well, that's the thing. You're not getting like a young, running back. You're getting a guy that you know is going to have a better opportunity to play this year in this situation right now. It depends on when you're drafting as well. If you find out, here we go. This is easier. If you find out that, we'll start in this place. If you found out that Melvin Gordon was going to sit out, start, like he wasn't going to play week 1, that was a guarantee. Mm-hmm. Are you more likely to pull this trigger?
I don't think I do it. I think long term. I think you have enough on your team.
I love it. I mean, Aaron Jones, who was his first running back?
Kamara.
Okay, come on. So between Aaron Jones and Kamara, you have a great. And Devontae Freeman's kind of at the end. Damian Williams, we don't know what kind of longevity he's going to have. So you could be getting 2 running backs compared to 1. But it's not like you're getting a. That's a very intriguing one. First of all, the other 2 are just complete throwaways in my mind.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So do you, if you're really looking, and this is the thing, I know you want to win now, but if you have Luck, he's incredibly young. You have Kamara and Aaron Jones, who are very young. You say you have Kelvin Ridley, who is young. Like, you don't really have to win now, and you don't even have to be dominant this season. You really have to be good when playoffs come, because I think you're good enough to get there. So which one would you rather have there, Melvin Gordon or, and that'll be the question, Damian Williams or Melvin Gordon? You're not going to know that right now.
I don't truly think Gordon's going to miss the whole season.
I mean, I don't think so either. I mean,
he might miss some games. That wouldn't shock me. I just don't think he's going to miss the whole year.
And
you know what the thing is? He has Austin Eckler on his team. So if you do lose Gordon for a few games, you just throw Eckler in there, and he'll be probably pretty good. I think you're okay.
Yeah, and even if so, like, I could see him not having to sit out the entire season. I could see it going sour, and then them trading him to, say, the Texans or something, and then you're still going to have a very, very good back. I think I do lean towards Melvin Gordon because of how young your team is. I would probably stick with it, but I would probably mull that over for forever because that's just the way I do it.
Williams and Freeman are both a year older than Melvin Gordon too. So, But before we get into wide receivers quick, I guess we'll just do a quick thought on Melvin Gordon specifically, especially for people that there are drafts happening this weekend. Like, we actually have an auction draft this weekend. People are drafting this weekend. So you're not, I mean, I have actually, in this league we're in, I have Melvin Gordon on my team is a keeper. I'm not keeping him. But in just a standard, regular draft situation, you're drafting this weekend. When do you actually draft Melvin Gordon? When would you take that chance? Or do you just say, you know what, I can't take the chance at all?
No, I mean, I would definitely take the chance. Right now, I think I have him ranked at number 15. But even with that, I think right now I'd probably... That's about right, though. I think I would take him. I would take the risk after, like, Damian Williams, Aaron Jones, Marlon Mack, those guys. Devontae Freeman, it might happen. And then Mark Ingram, but I think I can get him later. So I would take the risk right now because I don't think that he's going to hold out the whole time. And I think here I can make up for it. So I would say at running back 15, I would take him.
So, and it probably ends up being like a third rounder almost.
Yeah, third, fourth.
Cool. Yeah, be good with it there. Yeah. What about Zeke? Same. Like I'm taking
him in the top 4 still.
Yeah, I'm
taking him probably. I'm taking him 4th right now.
This could be a good opportunity for you to get Zeke, for somebody to get Zeke if you have like the 4th pick, which you would have normally not got him there. That's probably a good spot for you.
Exactly.
I'm okay with it. All right. Well, this is a wide receiver episode, so we should talk some wide receivers. And we'll start out number 16. So I said in this episode we're going to have a lot more differences, except here we both have him number 16, and it's Kenny Golladay. And love Kenny Golladay. I think he's going to have a big season. I'm just not 100% sold yet on the Lions' passing offense. I need to see something from Stafford. I was a little worried after last year. I mean, this is Lions fan talking, so I'm worried all the time. We actually had somebody on our running back rankings wonder why we're, ranking Kerryon Johnson so low. I think it's just years of being a Lions fan have made us think that no good can really truly happen, right?
Yeah, so, I've seen this movie before, and it doesn't end well.
And I think he should be the main target, obviously, I think he's ahead of Marvin Jones at this point. And he had 70 catches for 1,000 yards in his second season. Pretty solid season. He's actually a lot older than we think, too. He was going to turn 26 this year already. Like, he's not like this really young guy. So I think he's going to have a good season. I'm just not at one point last year I was thinking top 10 for this year. I'm just not there right now with this Lions offense. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. So I'm not quite there. He's extremely talented. They're going to have to throw to somebody. So you'll see an uptick in numbers from last year. Just don't feel get him to top 10. And we're slightly higher on Golladay. His ADP is currently 19, so we're putting him at 16. So
yeah, I mean, what can you say? I think when you get to this place in the draft as well, I like going for a little more upside than going for the same old.
Yep.
And last year he had 5 touchdowns, which is not what you want to see from a tall wide receiver. The Lions offense was bad, but he still managed. I mean, they still targeted him 119 times. By far number 1. Obviously, you don't have Tate anymore. Hawkinson, you really think the rookie tight end is going to, take away from him. Marvin Jones has been hit and miss. So the fact that he went 119 targets for 70 catches for over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns, and his yard per reception has been incredibly high for the first 2 years. And from 17 yards per reception to 15.2. So he has a big play threat, which I think will eventually help him score a few more touchdowns. So I think his upside is very, very high. And I can't imagine the Lions having as bad of an offensive season as they did last year.
Hope not.
Stafford, I think, needed 1 year under the new offensive regime in order to kind of get his feet under him.
Well, now they got a new offensive coordinator. Now they got Bevel, so
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. It can't be worse than
no, I can't. I mean, his numbers dropped
Jim Bob.
drastically, and he has been in the place where he can throw for 4,000 yards relatively easy. So if he trends back up at all, Kenny Golladay should be a good pick here.
All right, we'll go to 17 and 18. We'll group them together because they're always grouped together. It's Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. But we got there in totally different ways. So Robert Woods, again, to continue the trend of we rank people the same, this is probably the end of that for a little bit. Robert Woods, we both actually ranked 18th. He comes in at 17th. Cooper Kupp, you ranked 17th. I ranked 24th. And they come in 17 18. Cooper Kupp, the only reason he's down there a little bit for me is I just slightly worry about how well he can come off the injury. Sometimes, I just don't know if he'll be all the way there. That's it. If he was fully healthy, I'd put him ahead of Robert Woods. We have like a anti-Robert Woods bias on this podcast, and I don't quite get it. We just do. Not everyone, but people seem to really like Robert Woods for some reason. And funny thing is, I've got him in a couple teams in drafts we were doing mock drafts, and like every time it's like, I don't really like that. I don't like getting Robert Woods there. And then I've showed it to other people or on Instagram or something. They're like, everyone loves it as Robert Woods is number 2, and I don't love it. I don't know what it is. Why? Why is this? Why do we? Maybe because he had 5 years of just completely mediocre play, and then he had one spike last year. Maybe that's just a 1 year spike. That's happened. That's happened before. We had 5-year track record of not being very good, and then one really good year. Maybe that was just him finally finding it, coming into his own, playing a good team. Yeah. He's not going to go back down what he did before. I think Cooks is better, and I do think a fully healthy Cooper Kupp's better. So I don't know if a number 3 receiver can really be that truly great of a fantasy option, but even though I did put him 18th.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I struggle with him. He put up the numbers, so he deserves to be up here. But I mean, the fact that he's my 3rd favorite wide receiver on the team definitely hurts
completely
me.
It, yeah.
The fact, depending on how good you feel about Goff, I like him overall, but obviously down the stretch he did stumble a bit. You wonder about that, and the fact when Cooper Kupp comes back. Cooper Kupp was definitely his Goff's favorite target. Does that take away from Woods? I would think so. I think Brandon Cooks gets his numbers no matter what. I think Cooper Kupp, he's going to soak up touchdowns like he did last year. I mean, he played in 8 games. He caught 6 touchdowns. So I think it changes that dynamic for Robert Woods more. I think he's still a fine player, but if Cooper, and that's my thing is. Maybe Cooper Kupp isn't quite the same player. I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm willing to kind of assume that the first couple games he's still going to be figuring stuff out. That maybe I don't play him, but I think Cooper Kupp for the entire year is a better play.
If he's healthy, I agree. I just don't know that. We'll see.
Yeah. So
let's go to number 19. Mike Williams, number 19 for us. Your 19th, my 22nd. This is one of them where we're completely, no, we're not the only ones, but we're completely banking on the potential. And we are higher. We are definitely higher. So his consensus rank right now is 28th. And his ADP is 24. So we're a little higher on him. But I see that potential with him. Obviously, this guy was drafted in the top 10 just, 2 years ago. Was hurt the first year, so nothing happened. Last year, we saw the potential because the numbers, if you just look at the non-touchdowns here, 43 catches for 664 yards, but then he got the 10 touchdowns to really boost it. 43 for 664 and only 66 targets in 16 games. Kind of like, what's that, right? That's not great, but it was kind of like when he did it and how we saw him come on towards the end of the year and showed some flashes. And I can't remember what game that was right now. I want to say it was The Kansas City game, right?
Kansas City.
That's where he like really just like he became like, okay, this guy can play, and that's really like he didn't have a lot of those, but you just saw it in spurts where I feel like this is the player that makes that third year leap and gets there this year. We always knew he had the potential. He just needed to get healthy, and he was a lot more involved as the season went on. And other than that game, there really isn't a spot you can point to. I guess the final game of the year, some players will say this is terrible. Others 5 for 65 and a touchdown, right? Did something, but I see that jump happening with Mike Williams. So this is where you start to actually just do a complete. You're ranking him as the jump's going to happen.
Yeah, and once again, I do compare it to where I'm going to draft him, what kind of risk I have to take, and I think this is appropriate. I really do, because I don't think he'll last much longer than this. I think he has all the upside in the world. You don't have Tyrell Williams there anymore, and Keenan Allen is not the same type of wide receiver as he is. As you can see, having 10 touchdowns and only how many receptions did he have? What do you say? Was it 50?
Not even, I don't think. Like 40,
43.
Yeah.
43 with 664 yards and 10 touchdowns. And we said he didn't really play that well. I mean, that should tell you enough that, 1,000 yards with double-digit touchdowns should be in his grasp. And that's kind of what I'm blocking off for him. And on top of that, you can see his big playability. He was already one of the most hyped wide receivers coming out of college, coming from Clemson with Deshaun Watson when they won the title. And he was just hurt his entire rookie year. He just didn't get to play. And, the Chargers are a good team, so they were fine without him. But when you look at his 2018 season, when he finally got to play, how he worked himself into the lineup was the fact that his big playability, the fact that you would have 2 receptions, one of them would be a touchdown. 4 receptions, 2 of them are a touchdown. He had 2 games back-to-back where he had 1 reception each, and each one was for a long touchdown. Yep. And then when other players went down, then he started getting more targets, and then he started producing just all over the field. And that Kansas City game at week 14, that's when they needed him. A lot of people were hurt. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 at the very end. He became the man, I believe. And I think that this guy is their future. And I think if they really want to win, especially with Melvin Gordon going on, they absolutely need this guy to have a big year. And injury is the only concern I have. Yeah. It's not even talent-wise. It's not even whether he will produce. It's whether he'll stay on the field.
All right, let's go to number 20, and that's Tyler Lockett. My 20th, your 21st. He comes in around these ranks every time, but around 20th. Tyler Lockett's an interesting case for me, because then this is another one where it's his production he had last year and his higher rank is just due to, it's not the catches. It's completely yards and touchdowns. He only had 57 catches off 70 targets. Yeah, that should increase, right? We all think it's going to increase. But, 57 for 965 and 10 touchdowns. I worry, again, everyone's just so sure it's a sure thing. And I'm just trying to bank on this experience of doing this for years. Like, we've seen players like this to have that 1 year spike and then everyone, okay, they're great, right? And then that's it. That was like just 1 year and they dropped out. We've been waiting for Lockett to do something for a while. So it was nice to see he finally did, but it wasn't even, it was just the yardage. They used him in a different way to get those touchdowns and get more yardage. Hopefully that continues with him and they'll keep using him like that. But I just worry that it still was only 57 catches. But this could be the start of something all of a sudden where he gets 80 catches and he's like 80 catches for 1,300 yards and still 10, 12 touchdowns. It's just a massive season. You can see that. I'm always so hesitant. I'm hesitant every time. I just am. I'm just something about it where, I shouldn't be. Why am I looking at Tyler Lockett? And now maybe I'm not more worried than Mike Williams, but I just think, Mike Williams is definitely going to get there. I guess it's just sometime still the draft, like the original draft and where they were drafted in the preconceived notions we have of the players and how good they were supposed to be, especially, okay, Lockett was a 3rd rounder. Mike Williams is a top 10 pick, right? Of course, Mike Williams is going to be great, but I don't know. I need to see another year. I'm not sold. I don't necessarily love when I get Tyler Lockett as my second receiver. I should. It should be a good call, but I don't love it.
If it wasn't for the fact that they didn't have anyone there, and Doug Baldwin is no longer there with them, if he's the number 1, that's the only reason why he shows up here for me. because I think they have to work him in. They have to give him more targets. But if I looked strictly at his numbers, I'd be absolutely saying this is a 1-year spike. There's no way you can reproduce this. His targets range from 66 to 71 in the 4 years that he was with Seattle every single year. So almost the targets haven't changed. But last year, the thing that did change was he almost averaged 17 yards per catch, which he hasn't done before. He got in the end zone because of that. He got in the end zone 10 times. Before that, it was 6 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, and 2. And then he also caught the ball 81% of the times, which is just an incredible amount. Like, that's not usual. So I just can't imagine it. And even if you did add targets to that, I can't imagine them throwing it to him over 100 times. Maybe they will if he's officially the number one. But even with that, I could see where he gets around the same yardage and his TDs get cut in half. He doesn't have quite the catch percentage. And you're looking at a guy that is, a back end wide receiver 2. And that would be with things going well for him. So I just have a very, very, very difficult time believing that he can keep up this big playability, even though I love Russell Wilson and how he can scramble and keep the play going. But Lockett's the only guy that you really have to worry about. I mean, especially in the first half of the year, you're not going to worry about David Moore. You're not going to worry about DK Metcalf. So you tie up Lockett and then you just put a bunch of guys in the box because they're going to run it a ton. I don't know. I have a very difficult time drafting
it's
Lockett.
Same thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm in the same spot. It's weird, but I feel like we have him about where we should. It's just one of those I don't love. And you don't love this next one. I know this right now. So this is our biggest difference so far. Julian Edelman is 21st. It's your 27th, my 17th. That's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I feel like Edelman's just safe. I know what I'm getting here. And I mean, in 2016, he had 98 catches for 1,100 yards. And then last year, though, he been missing 4 games. He had 74 catches for 850. So he was on the same kind of pace and 6 touchdowns. I think it's a safe player. He's 33 years old, though. Like, he's up there. I just feel it, but I feel like he's pretty safe here. I don't know. You just don't love it.
Yeah, and tell you the truth, he'll probably be better than what I rank him at. He probably will. I mean, if you look at what he's done in the past 5 years when he's truly been playing, ranking wide receiver wise as far as fantasy goes, 2013 I'll start 19th, 26th, 37th, 24th, 23rd. When he plays a full season or relatively close, he comes in anywhere from 23 to 26th. My thing with him is I think that is what you should expect. You shouldn't expect anything higher. And then also if I'm trying to figure out who to pick, I'm taking a guy with upside compared to, I could see them really taking it easy with Edelman, which they absolutely need in the playoffs, taking it easy with Brady, and letting young guys kind of come around and then pounding the ball out running, which they found out they can do very successfully. So I can't imagine them chucking the ball around so much. And the first sign that, he might be banged up, I could see them pulling back a little bit because they're absolutely a playoff team, but they're also a team full of older stars. So, I'm not banking on them going wild during the season. And as you can see, he's never really gone wild either. But yeah, to be fair, if it came around and I'm looking for, like, he's still there and I'm looking for a third wide receiver and I'm like, I just want to plug and play. Yeah, that would be cool. But no excitement there.
So number 22 is going to be Calvin Ridley for us. He's my 21st, your 25th. So you know what? I'm actually wondering, are we underrating Calvin Ridley? And you know why? I think he had an extremely good rookie season. I think I've said this a million times. Like, we got spoiled by like Odell Beckham there. Mike Evans had a great rookie year. Those kind of things. We kind of got spoiled in a way. And Mike Evans actually, I don't think was even that special. Let's see. I'm just curious what Evans did again. Okay, Evans had something. I'll find it in a little bit. But Ridley, 64 catches, 821 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's a really good rookie season. And okay, yeah, Mike Evans, his rookie year, he had 68 catches for 1051, and he had the 12 touchdowns. So see, we thought that at the time that was just an amazing season. Ridley wasn't quite there, but he's not like he's that far off. The thing, I guess, that can hold back Ridley in a way, what the argument would be, well, he's still the number 2. He's behind Julio. Okay. So is Juju. last year in his second year after his rookie season of, let's see here, 58 catches for 917 and 7 touchdowns. It's not that big of a difference. A little bit better yards per catch than Calvin Ridley. But that was part of it maybe with why we ranked Juju lower last year, is because, okay, he's the second option. How much can he really do? Even though we all loved him as a player. We all thought he was going to be really good. But we were kind of held back. Okay, he's still the number 2. How great can he be? And look how great he was. He was amazing. To me, that's the only thing I'm holding back Ridley for, is he's still the number 2. But he's the number 2 in what should be a pretty good passing offense. I think he might be higher than this. I think we might actually underrate this guy.
He could. I don't really have an issue if you wanted to put him up a little higher. I don't know. I think Matt Ryan's numbers go down.
So you're not a Matt Ryan guy, are you?
I mean, yeah, I think he's fine. But yeah, he had a tremendous season last year. I think that goes down a little bit. The 10 touchdowns, I have no idea if that's really what Calvin Ridley brings to the table. I mean, that was a great year, but is that consistent? I don't know. He started off very, very hot in the first 4 games. He had 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, he had a 3-game span where he caught all 6. It was very, very incredible. It was very, very great. They targeted him a lot. 92 times in your rookie season is wonderful. That's what I like to see. So I could see him going higher, but I could see, very similar. I could see actually, what did he rank last year as far as fantasy goes?
I don't have that number up right now.
I have it for a sec, because I would actually like to know that. So he ranked 18th.
Yeah, so pretty solid.
Yeah, so I probably do have him ranked, higher or lower, depending on how you look at it. But I probably should have him ranked a little bit better than I do currently. Something about it holds me back, but he is a very good young player. Heaven forbid anything happened to Julio. He's the number 1 there automatically, pretty much. So there's a lot of stuff to like about him. So yeah, I should probably move him up a few spots.
Number 23. This is another big difference we have here. And I get 100% because this is me ranking this guy way higher than anybody else. It's Allen Robinson. So Allen Robinson, you have ranked 28th. And consensus ranks him 27th, but ADP has him 28th. So you're right with the everyday person on Allen Robinson. Well, I rank Allen Robinson 19th. I really like Allen Robinson. And because I kind of feel like this is going to be the year he finally comes back from that. I mean, he had the ACL injury in 2017. Last year, there's 2 factors. More than 2 factors. There's a few factors. It's coming off the ACL. It's a brand new team. It's a young quarterback. It's a lot of factors to get back. I think Trubisky's going to have a pretty solid season. I really think Allen Robinson's going to step up and be the true number 1 there and have a big year. Okay, maybe not 2015, 80 catches, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, that kind of thing. That's still a ridiculous season.
Yeah.
And maybe not that, but I think he's going to definitely jump back up and become a very productive fantasy player who's just really not talked about right now. No one cares about Allen Robinson. I think, but he's only 25. He's just about to turn 26. He's basically like the same age as like Kenny Golladay. Think about that.
It is pretty crazy.
He's like Kenny Golladay age. So, I mean, he is, he's only a year old, but basically a year older than Calvin Ridley. That's it. Think about that. He's a year older than Calvin Ridley. So, we're all in the minds of like Allen Robinson to us and to a lot of people. He's just kind of like, he's old news, in fantasy. Maybe he's not. And I don't think he is. I'm all aboard the Allen Robinson fan club. I'm probably the number 1 fan here, ranking him 19th. So I'm expecting. I think it's gonna be a good season. I think he's forgotten, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna snatch him up in a bunch of leagues then.
I'm fine with it. I think you have him ranked a little high, but at the same time,
we'll see at the end of the year when I'm right.
Right. I mean, it could be, but that 2015, he never came anywhere close to that ever again. I mean, the next year he had the exact same amount of targets, only 7 less catches, and he had, over 500 less yards and less, and then only 6 touchdowns compared to 14. Do I think Trubisky's better than Bortles? Yeah. I mean, I don't think that crazy. And I like the fact that he had 13.7 yards per catch last year, especially when he only played in 12 real games. So there is a lot to like there, but I like Anthony Miller, Burton. They just have a lot of people to throw to, and I really need to see it before I think that he's going to get, anywhere near 120 targets, which I think he would kind of need. But he could up that catch percentage, which it wouldn't shock me if he got to 1,000 yards this year.
So number 24 is going to be Chris Godwin. He's 23rd for me, 24 for you. Chris Godwin has a lot of hype. I feel like there's a lot of just a lot of good articles about him. You don't hear anything negative about Chris Godwin ever. All you hear is how good this guy's going to be. It's kind of like it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know where he became like the favorite.
It's funny. I'm going to type Chris Godwin right now. So here we go. Chris Godwin, Bucs receiver Chris Godwin continues to impress. Fantasy football players you're drafting too late. Chris Godwin. It says. Chris Godwin is NFL's next breakout star wide receiver nobody is talking about. And this is Chris Godwin still doesn't care about preseason hype. That's just the first page here. It's just all about the Chris Godwin, hype. It's kind of, here we go. Former Penn State football wide receiver Chris Godwin gearing up for breakout year. Training camp will be Chris Godwin's time to shine. It's just like Chris Godwin will fit perfectly in Bruce Arians' offense. Is it almost becoming too much for a guy who it was 59 catches, 842 and 7 touchdowns? I like Chris Godwin, but I'm just saying, it's crazy.
I do too, but it is getting a little much to the fact that driving up a price
that's the problem. Yeah. The price is getting driven way up there. I mean, we're I guess part of it. We've ranked him here, but let's see here. No, we're actually where are we here? Okay, wow. His rank right now is 19, and his ADP is 20. So we're low on Chris Godwin. That's some hype.
It is. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if much changed, to be honest. Last year, it was a little weird with the 2 quarterbacks. So, if you think that he's going to have better with Jameis the whole time.
I think he's a very good player.
I do too. I like him. 842 and 7 touchdowns last year was good, but he was targeted 95 times, caught 59 of them. He pretty much was the number 2. I know Deshaun Jackson was there, but Deshaun Jackson didn't do, he wasn't. Godwin really was the second guy there. Evans is still going to soak up a ton of targets. O.J. Howard is really coming into his own. He's not hurt anymore. So I really like Godwin, but because of all the hype, I feel like you have to almost tap the brakes just to be a realistic version of what are you expecting him to really become?
You're not getting him for any kind of value anymore, which sucks.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm worried about.
Yeah. I like the player a lot. I was hyping him up after his rookie year before anybody else was, I feel like. True. But it just didn't happen last year, so I don't get any credit. So he just became better. But all right, let's go number 25. DJ Moore. 25th for me, 22nd for you. He was a first-round pick last year. Had a solid rookie season. 55 catches, 788, 2 touchdowns. Again, nothing spectacular, but you at least saw the potential. And he should be the number 1, option there for Cam Newton, except now it's kind of gone the other way on DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel is the one getting all the hype in Carolina. I feel like, doesn't it seem that way? Like Curtis Samuel is starting to get hyped up almost as a better option, maybe better option as in where he's going in drafts. He's going later. You should draft Curtis Samuel. Here's the first article I see 2 hours ago. Draft Curtis Samuel over DJ Moore. I'm not really going there. I think this guy's going to be a good player. I think DJ Moore, he was a first round pick who showed good potential. And there's nothing to stop me from saying that. I think DJ Moore is going to be a solid player. But that's about it. I'm not excited. I just think he's
right. And that's where I'm at too. I'm drafting him here because of the upside and because of his talent. I do think he's very good. And there was nothing in his numbers that make me believe that it was a mistake. The fact he only caught 2 touchdowns and the fact that you actually could see him progress as a wide receiver and how much they used him as the year went on are both huge indicators that his numbers should make a pretty relatively large jump. And he was in the top 40 of wide receivers last year. I fully expect him to be a starting wide receiver, and I think he even has upside. And I think this is a good value for him right here.
Let's go to number 26, Tyler Boyd. So we have a little bit of difference here. You have him all the way up to 20 now. I have him 29. Tyler Boyd's interesting to me. It's like I don't know if I 100% buy that he's just going to continue to get better. This is all in perception, how I want to, you can frame this any way you want. I can look at this and be like, okay, you got a 24-year-old wide receiver who in his third year, like we say, third-year wide receiver breakouts, really broke out to 76 catches, 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And you can really make that argument. Wow, this guy that was the start of the breakout, and he's going to become, really like a star player. Or like I'm gonna frame my argument because this is how I feel. I kind of feel like that is Tyler Boyd's peak. I feel like this is his peak, and that's where he's at. I haven't, I guess, seen enough from him to think he's this extra special, talented player to jump way up. I think he's a good player. He's going to be a good fantasy player. He's going to put up good numbers. I just don't think he has another level.
And I'm okay with that analysis. Right. Truly. The reason I have him here is because he's the only show in town.
Yeah.
AJ Green probably won't be ready for week 1. I mean, his injury is just taking longer. He's an older wide receiver. He is their superstar, but Boyd will probably be the number 1 starting off the year. And they're going to bring AJ along slowly. John Ross hasn't shown anything. I think he's probably a good value in stashing someone.
He's so far down the list.
But Tyler Boyd will be the number 1. They have to throw it to him. And he was producing all through last year. And maybe he wasn't spectacular, but he was very, very playable. Like he had a few games that were very, very good. But he was good. You could always play him. He was very, week to week, he was very consistent. And on top of that, the fact that he was able to do that with AJ playing with him, with Driscoll throwing to him, the fact that he was able to weather all that makes me believe that even if he doesn't take that next jump, he is a safe enough player that he will repeat this. And I think he has a very good chance of actually doing better. And last year, I have to look it up real quick, but he was 17th overall in the rank. So I think if you took him here, I think that is probably the worst you're going to get. I think that he will get a top 20 wide receiver that has, top 13 possibility.
And I was actually speaking of John Ross, he's out like he's dealing with a hamstring injury again.
Always. Actually, no, because we already talked about Edelman. I think this is where I fall. Is like I would much rather have Tyler Boyd than I would rather have Edelman. And I think they're very similar players in that way.
I have them like 12 spots apart, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get it. I completely get it. I do get it.
And I wouldn't have him ranked this high if it wasn't for the AJ Green news.
Yep. All right, let's go number 27, Christian Kirk. Another guy you like him this year.
You like him too, right?
But I just have him lower.
Oh, okay.
I have him 31st. You have him 23rd. So there's a difference there, but he's 27th overall.
Which is actually kind of funny because I think that you like Kyler Murray more than me, but I'm completely on the Christian Kirk bandwagon.
His ADP, Kirk's ADP right now is 35. So.
Oh man, I'm okay.
But hey, again, another rookie we like who showed just potential. This is a combination though. This is a combination of a rookie we saw potential in, the fact that Larry Fitzgerald's 72 years old now, and he's still going somehow. He has to fall off. He did start to last year, right? We think, but then again, that might have just been the offense.
Yeah, we don't
know. Can't say it for sure. In Kirk, this is like us thinking Kirk becomes the number 1, kind of. Larry Fitzgerald continues as kind of like almost like a tight end role in a way. The offense becomes kind of just this, prolific type offense. I don't even know how they're gonna do. It's gonna be interesting. I'm most interested in this offense than any probably.
Well, I guarantee it'll be better than last year.
Exactly. It's just there's a combination. It's like we saw potential. He should become a number 1. The offense should be very interesting. He's still only 22 years old. Wow, this guy's young.
Very young.
So it's a lot of that. I'm ahead of Christian Kirk on ADP as well, just not as high up as you are, but just a lot of potential here. And that's why I want these kind of guys. I do want the more of a, okay, Edelman, I guess you could say Edelman too. I get that. I'm going to say okay, but I wanted like the Ridley, the Godwin, more, I guess Boyd, Kirk, over like
just Boyd.
Yes.
I like how reluctant that was.
Over like, guys that we won't probably get to on this show. Like, I don't know, even Sammy Watkins. Anymore, I'm done with him. probably other than two guys we have at the end of this show, I'll have to get to in a minute, Alshon Jeffrey and Jarvis Landry. I want the young guys, the more potential. So we'll go number 28, 29, 30, end this off. So AJ Green ended up 28th. It's injury based. You might get a value now out of him. There's not much more to say. He's much better than this. He's just injured. Yeah. It's more of the fact that it's a complete up in the air. We don't really know truly what it is, how long it's going to be, but you might get value out of him. That's the good thing. Then 29 and 30 are guys I'm not like in love with. They just fall. This is where they fall. Alshon Jeffrey, Jarvis Landry.
Okay, actually, I think Alshon Jeffrey is probably the perfect example of why Kirk for me is so high, because I know what Alshon is. He's a good player. You can probably put him in your starting lineup and be okay with it. I'd rather take Kirk because I think that he's going to put up, obviously I think he's going to put up better numbers, but I don't think there's any upside to Alshon. And as far as Jarvis, I like Jarvis, but he's very dependent on, or at least he has been in past, very dependent on bulk. And with OBJ and all the weapons they have there, I think it limits him, even though he is a very, very, very talented wide receiver. So those guys, I look at, I'm like, I'd rather have Kirk, where I think he could truly run away with the targets.
I kind of agree with you. I think I might need to adjust my rank slightly. I think I might put Kirk ahead of those two. I had him one spot below Alshon. And looking at it, why? I don't know why I did that. I'm going to probably move that.
I mean, do you ever draft Alshon?
God, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's what comes. And I really did have to. We were doing a few of the drafts for the relegation leagues, and when I was really looking at it, and I was staring at my board too to try to see, like, am I ranking these guys according to what I truly believe?
That's where we truly start to adjust ranks.
And when I was just like, I'm not taking him, I had to adjust and say, this is ridiculous.
I mean, Alshon really hasn't had like a really good season since like 2014. 2015 started well and he got hurt, but he hasn't really been. We keep waiting for it to happen and it hasn't quite happened. And Jarvis is just Jarvis. He's going to be probably solid. It's just nothing I love. So there's our top 30. I will say, I've found myself back on the Corey Davis bandwagon, who would have been 31 for me. 31. I don't know why. These young receivers, man. I hold on too long. Like I'm finally giving up on Sammy a little bit. Finally, I think I am. Like, I'm starting to give up, like Devontae Parker. Right. These young receivers, man, it's hard. I hold on too long.
Yeah, I mean, I get Corey Davis. I really think he's so talented. I just hate Mariota so much right now. And I don't hate him, but I hate him as a quarterback. Yep. I think he's just kryptonite for wide receivers. But I think the guy that was actually in my top 30 that didn't make it on the list was actually Will Fuller. He's just all potential, 100% potential. It's like if he stays healthy, you're a genius. If he gets hurt, you're a moron because you should have known. Yep, that's pretty much what it came down to.
So that's really, we, similar for the most part. Couple we were a little bit off on, but there's a lot of interesting players after this, but no one. I don't have like a lot of them that are just like, oh man, this guy's going to be good. He's just down there. There's some interesting names. You know what? Okay, one thing I will say, like Golden Tate, for some reason to me now. You can get him so late where, when he comes back, right, like they have to throw the ball to somebody other than Evan Ingram and Saquon, where I don't like Golden Tate really much, but I feel like you're going to get, if you need like a spot starter later, like you could get him he could be the end of your bench. You get him like deep. I got him like in the 14th.
Yeah, I think in a PPR, especially, and this is saying less about, or less, I guess, about Eli Manning than what Tate is. But I think Tate, the way he is able to run routes and the kind of wide receiver he is, I think it actually matches up well with where Eli, his arm is at right now. So I think he will probably lead New York. If you chop off those first 4 games down the stretch, he'll definitely lead them in receptions, I believe, unless it's Evan Ingram, because both of them will be running those middle routes.
All right. I think that's going to do it for wide receivers. We'll be back one more episode this week. We'll do another mock draft, as we've been doing, like themed mock drafts. This time, we're going to try the 0 running back strategy and go wide receivers early on. See how that plays out.
It's really bad.
You never know. Maybe we'll like it.
Yeah.
Probably not. Perhaps. But all right. That'll do it for this show. Talk to you guys next time.